At 4 a.m., Moscow, a 3-foot shadow made of carbon fiber and cheap plastic is screaming down a high-voltage power line just 6 feet off the ground, impact in 45 seconds. 2 days ago, peace talks with America collapsed in a spectacular failure. And right now, Vladimir Putin is inside a secret bunker planning his revenge, completely unaware of one critical fact: the Ukrainians are watching him, not with spies, with a hijacked Moscow traffic camera. On a screen in a Kyiv basement, the drone's HUD sits next to a grainy live feed of an ordinary apartment building. A glowing red box highlights the basement with 2 simple words: Putin's office. Now let's talk about the math, because this is where the story gets insane. Russia's Panzer missile shield around Moscow, a $500 million investment. The price of this drone? About $2,500, built with parts from AliExpress. This isn't a battle, it's an economic absurdity. On paper, Moscow is a fortress, a digital wall of fire designed to stop anything that flies. But that wall was designed to stop a fighter jet. What happens when the threat isn't a jet? What happens when it's a ghost that plays Tarzan on your city's power grid? At 04:02 a.m., missile trails tear through the 4 a.m. fog like angry fireworks. The system's radar has spotted the threat, or at least what it thinks is the threat. A swarm of 3 decoy drones approaching from the south. This is exactly what the Ukrainians were counting on. See, the Panzer is a beast. It can track 300 targets at once. But it has a critical vulnerability, an ego problem. It's like having the world's best security guard who can spot a ninja a mile away, but gets completely distracted by a flock of pigeons. And in a city like Moscow, the air is full of digital pigeons. Thousands of Wi-Fi signals, cell phone towers, and, as of a few minutes ago, hijacked traffic cameras. The Panzer's clutter rejection algorithm just can't handle it. While the big guns are busy shooting at decoys, a tiny recon drone, the Sparrow Eye, slips through the digital cracks. It hacks into Moscow's municipal camera network, turning Russia's own surveillance system into a targeting grid for Ukraine. With the path illuminated, the real weapon makes its move. The Liutai drone latches onto a high-voltage power line, treating it like a personal zip line straight into the city. It's the ultimate act of operational jujitsu, using the weight and infrastructure of the enemy against them. For a moment, it's a perfect, clean entry. The target is locked, but you can't poke a bear that big and not expect it to roar back. The hack triggers an automated alert, and across the operator's screen in Kyiv, the world dissolves into static. The party's just getting started. Welcome to Layer 2, Electronic Warfare Matrix Style, Drone Battery, 30 minutes remaining. At 04:05 a.m., the quiet is shattered by the unmistakable sound of AK-47s. The decoy drones being shot down a moment ago did exactly what they were designed to do. They acted as a flare, telling every Russian soldier on these rooftops, the threat is here, now. The Liutai, which has been using the suburban tree line for cover, makes its move. It bursts from the darkness in a sudden pop-up attack. The drone's AI isn't just dodging, it's predicting. As the tracers stream towards it, the AI calculates their trajectory faster than the human brain can even process what it's seeing. It knows where the bullets will be a millisecond from now. And in response, it executes a maneuver that seems to defy the laws of physics. A brutal 90-degree snap turn, executed in just 50 milliseconds. It's not flying, it's glitching through the battlefield. It gets through the wall of lead without a scratch, but all that gunfire just served as a massive, screaming alarm bell for the last, most dangerous guardian of the city. A piercing tone screams on the HUD. The final Panzer system has a lock. At 04:06 a.m., a single, terrifying tone fills the operator's headset. A Panzer missile leaps from its launcher, a 2,000-mile-per-hour spear of fire and vengeance. This isn't a dogfight, it's a math problem, and the drone is about to lose. The Panzer's fire control system is a computational beast, but it's like an old computer trying to run a brand new video game. It needs a full 4 seconds to calculate the perfect kill shot. 4 seconds in this world is an eternity. And that's when the final piece of the plan reveals itself. A third drone, a final decoy launched from a completely different site, suddenly breaks from its holding pattern. It makes a hard, deliberate, and suicidally obvious turn, presenting itself as the perfect target. The Panzer's computer, seeing the easier kill, takes the bait. The missile changes course. This is the moment. As the missile lunges for the decoy, the Liutai does the one thing the Panzer's straight-line thinking brain can't predict. It dives hard. It's not just diving to evade, it's diving to exploit a fundamental law of physics. It drops below the building rooftops into the radar's shadow, a blind spot created by the curvature of the Earth itself. A radar that can see a jet at 25 miles can't see through a 3-story apartment building. The decoy drone vanishes in a silent, brilliant flash of light. The missile, its job done, follows it into oblivion. The Liuti is through the fire. The final gate is open. Its camera locks onto the basement window of the target building. The operator's screen is a wall of red warnings. The battery is critical. Debris from the explosion is raining down, but none of it matters now. The path is clear. At 04:06 a.m., just a straight 500-yard dash to the target. But the building itself suddenly comes alive. Windows on the lower floors erupt in muzzle flashes. This isn't a coordinated defense. This is raw panic. Putin's elite guards, now just terrified men with rifles, are firing blindly into the fog. For the drone operator in Kyiv, the mission has become brutally simple. Inside that bunker, you can bet the meeting is over. Forget strategic planning. This is pure, high-level chaos, probably with someone screaming, "Get him out!" like a scene from a bad action movie. The Liuti doesn't swerve. It doesn't dodge. It just accelerates. Its camera locks onto a single, dark rectangle, a ventilation grate leading directly to the basement. The world becomes a tunnel of concrete and glass. The grate grows larger, larger. Of course. Here's the final act, integrating your detailed strategic assessment. The HUD locks onto the bunker's ventilation system. For a split second, the drone's high-resolution camera zooms in, and through the grate, you can almost make out a document on a table inside. New Shahed deployment plan. On the ground, it's pure desperation. Putin's guards are spraying bullets from windows, but they might as well be trying to shoot down a ghost with water pistols. Inside, Putin's big meeting to plan his counterpunch on Trump has just become an evacuation drill. But here's the problem. A 1,000-ton concrete bunker moves with the urgency of a sleeping turtle. A 110-pound drone moves at 124 miles per hour. It was the classic villain mistake, thinking you're 100% safe right before the hero blows the door off its hinges. Impact! And this isn't a simple explosion, it's a physics lesson delivered at the speed of sound. The warhead detonates, but the blast doesn't just expand outwards, it triggers the Monroe effect. The explosive charge is shaped by a copper cone, which inverts and focuses the entire force of the blast into a single, needle-thin jet of molten plasma moving at 7,000 miles per hour. That jet hits the 6-inch reinforced concrete wall not like a hammer, but like a hot knife through butter. It punches through, and the real damage begins. The explosion happens inside the confined space of the bunker. The pressure wave has nowhere to go. It slams against the walls, ceiling, and floor, turning the entire command center into a giant, catastrophic pressure cooker. The bunker collapses inward. Servers containing the new attack plans are vaporized. Documents are turned to confetti. And reports later confirm at least 5 casualties, not just guards, but top-tier Russian commanders. The bunker didn't sink. But Putin's plan to hit back at the world, it's now just a pile of wet, smoking paper. So let's pull back from the smoking wreckage and look at the real strategic dominoes that just fell. This wasn't just a local news story, it was a global TikTok moment that exploded online. While Russian state media was calling it terrorist sabotage, the Kyiv Independent and the New York Times were running headlines like, "Ukrainian drones visit Moscow suburbs." Videos of the smoke went viral on X, hitting millions of views in under 24 hours. The leak of that Shahed deployment plan from the wreckage was the final blow. Ukraine just hacked Putin's entire press conference. Militarily, the numbers tell a fascinating story. Russia claimed it shot down 111 drones, which sounds impressive. But the fact that even a few got through to Moscow proved that the vaunted Panzer S-1M system is exhausted and vulnerable after 60-plus attacks. This single strike temporarily took out the command for 8 to 10 caliber missiles, saving Kyiv from at least a week of terror. It proves the new reality. Ukrainian drones are like Uber Eats. They always find a way to deliver, even when Russian missiles are stuck in traffic. Strategically, this was the perfect checkmate. Just days after Trump walked out of peace talks, Ukraine delivered a preemptive strike that saved its cities from a planned 200% increase in Shahed attacks. It forced Russia to reevaluate the very idea of a safe zone in its own capital. More importantly, it forced them to pull 20 to 30% of their air defenses from the front lines to protect the rear, thinning out the very troops meant for their grand offensive. And economically, this is where it becomes a joke. A few Liu-T drones costing maybe $50,000 in total caused millions in damages, forced the closure of 2 major airports, and delayed over 100 flights, creating logistical chaos. Putin spends $500 million on a missile shield, and Ukraine bypasses it for the price of a Tesla. You have to ask, who's the real superhero in that financial equation? But the deepest cut was psychological. For Russian soldiers, the message was terrifying. The drones are like ghosts. They can get anywhere. For Putin, it was the ultimate Wile E. Coyote moment, the ground disappearing from beneath his feet right in his own backyard. And for Ukrainians, it was a massive morale boost. A surge of pride and defiance with drone pilot recruitment reportedly jumping 10%, the message was clear. We can touch Moscow. From a basement in Kiev, nearly 1,000 miles away, Ukraine just turned Putin's impenetrable office into rubble. And they did it by launching drones from all over the country. Hey Putin, next time maybe just use Zoom, it's safer. The big teeth. At 05:45 a.m., the Panzer S-1 opens its eyes. A 57E6 missile leaps from its tube. It accelerates to Mach 3 in under 2 seconds. 3 times the speed of sound, it's a greyhound chasing a flock of pigeons, and it's designed to never miss. This should be the end of the story. The Panzer's powerful computer can track and engage 10 targets simultaneously. But that computer has a fatal flaw. It's a genius mathematician that thinks only in straight lines. It expects a target to fly like a fighter jet, in predictable, sweeping arcs. But the drones aren't flying like jets. They're flying like roller coaster cars, and the Tver Hills are their tracks. This is the Tea Party tactic in action. The drones start leapfrogging. They pop up over a hill for a few seconds, just long enough to be seen, then dive back down behind it, disappearing from view. Every time a drone vanishes behind the curve of the Earth, the Panzer's radar loses its lock. When it reappears, the computer needs 2 to 3 agonizing seconds to reacquire the target, calculate a new firing solution, and redirect the missile. But the Ukrainian AI, running a sophisticated Kalman filter, knows this. It has predicted that 2-second blind spot with mathematical certainty. It's like playing a video game where you've memorized the boss's attack pattern. You know exactly when to dodge. The missile, expecting a target to be in one place, zips harmlessly through the empty air where the drone was a second ago. It's not a flawless strategy, the chaos is immense, and in the fury of missile launches, 2 drones are caught by shrapnel and vaporized, a calculated loss. 13 drones are through, they've beaten the long-range sniper. Now they have to face the close-range shotgun. At 05:46 a.m., less than half a mile from the target sits the AK-630 CIWS. It's less a gun and more an industrial buzzsaw that fires exploding 30mm shells at a rate of 5,000 rounds per minute. It doesn't shoot bullets. It vomits a solid wall of metal moving at nearly 3,000 feet per second. Red-hot tracers rip the air apart as the system goes active, creating a seemingly impenetrable dome of fire over the arsenal. But the AK-630 has an Achilles heel. It needs to see what it's shooting at. Its targeting computer is looking for one small, fast-moving object. The problem is the combination of the lake's surface and the thick fog acts like a giant shattered mirror. The radar isn't seeing one target. It's seeing a dozen shimmering, distorted ghosts. The Ukrainians don't just rely